Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Cilinix Crypto. Hope you're all doing great, and welcome to this new video here on Onyx and XCN. Wanted to do a full update here regarding the technicals. We also have to talk about some fundamentals because yesterday we did get some major news, or at least major news. It's not always good news, but it's very 50-50 because what we heard was the launch of XCN perpetual futures on Binance, which probably was because of the volume, because the volume obviously for Onyx has been incredibly bullish, it has been incredibly high, I should say. Right now, even it's down from the highs right here at almost $700 million, but it's still $588 million, and the volume is still very stable going into the weekend. While what you can see is that volume across the board is down like 20-30%. So that means that volume, at least for now, is pretty sticky. But we're going to do a full technical update here, of course, but to go a little bit further on those fundamentals, a perpetual futures contract launch in the past has also been relatively bearish, all right? Because sometimes what happens is that major funds or major whales have these huge positions in XCN, and what they do, or at least what happened in the past, I'm not saying that that's going to happen with XCN, but you should be prepared for it, is what happens when these major perpetual contracts open. All of a sudden there is enough volume and liquidity to sell off all their tokens. All right, so what they do is they short the perpetual futures and they start selling spot. All right, so basically making not 100%. It's not that easy, of course, but basically making double profits. So that is something we need to take into account in the possibilities for XCN right here. I also saw people talking about ISO 20022. Look. What I'm going to say is something you will not like, so mute the next 15 minutes, or 15 seconds, excuse me. But this doesn't really matter that much, all right? I've seen this narrative being used very, very often. A huge amount of projects have this. Any pump that was associated with this was non-sustainable, and this has never really led, so far at least, to any real-world configurations or real-world usage. So it's I know that they're using this to pump up the price, but ultimately it doesn't matter that much. I'm sorry, I know a lot of people will hate me for that, but that is the truth, all right? And I've been around for some time, and I've known this narrative for some time as well. Doesn't really do that much. But all right, looking at XCN right now, talking about the technicals, because that's obviously why you're here. I basically see two possibilities, and I think we need to be prepared for both possibilities, and that's always the case with a coin that's this volatile. Now, first of all, we have seen some bearish divergences right here, as you can see across the board. Does that necessarily mean we're going to drop? No, bearish divergences always happen in a bull run, so that doesn't matter that much. But at the same point of time, what we can see is that we also had a bearish divergence here in volume. Volume started to drop down across the board here when we started to rally up higher. And then, yes, we had volume higher right here, but that was a lot of selling volume. And the volume right now going into Saturday, which is relatively normal because it is the weekend, but still we have to take it into account. Volume is dropping, which means momentum is also losing out, or at least we're losing out on momentum. So that's why I'm slightly leaning towards expecting a drop. All right, expecting a drop into my favorite level right here with the 30-day VWAP around 1.5 and 1.4, where I will most likely start buying XCN. Because do I think all the bullish momentum is over? No. However, short term, after what we have seen from those divergences, but also from the loss of momentum, I'd say this is more likely. But like I said, talking about those two scenarios. The other scenario is that XCN is going to be able to reclaim this level right here at 2.15. I would be ready for that as well. If we get a breakout above 2.15 here, and the funding rates are also still also dropped down a bit more, which have normalized, which I don't like for a long, but still, if we actually are able to get some sort of a breakout reclaim here, I will long XCN, right? So I think the best thing to be about XCN, if you're trading this, if you're holding spot, I would still hold it for now. As long as we're holding this support level at 1.8. But so that's if you're holding spot. If you're trading this, I think you have to be fluid, all right? I think you have to be prepared, not for shorting, I'd say, but I think you have to be prepared for either a long from quite a bit lower or for a continuation right here. So like I said, I'd say this is most likely, but be prepared. All right, those are my thoughts. I think that's what you need to know regarding XCN. If you do have any questions, let me know down in the comments. But for now, thank you for watching. Take care and bye.